Leanna Lowenstein, child and family therapist in Toronto, Canada. The DICE game is an engagement and assessment activity that can be used with children with a variety of presenting issues, as well as different ages of children. I use this with children as young as 5, as well as school-age children and adolescents. First, you need to create a worksheet with questions, and I usually suggest 5 or 6 questions is appropriate for this game. So if you're using this with a child who's dealing with separation or divorce, then examples of questions might be, explain why you think your parents got separated or divorced. The next question might be, name 3 feelings you've had since your parents split up. You might also ask, why do you think your parents separated or divorced? I also like to ask, say one thing your parents can do to make it easier for you. For children dealing with loss, questions might be, who told you that your loved one had died, and what do you remember them saying? How did you react when you found out that your loved one had died? How did others in your family react when your loved one died? Who are people that you can talk to when you're feeling sad or upset? You can also use this with children dealing with bullying and ask questions like, how do you feel when you're being bullied or teased? What are some things that children do or say when they're bullying or teasing you? Say 3 appropriate ways for dealing with bullies or teasers. If you're doing this with a child who's dealing with anger issues, you could ask, say 3 things that make most kids feel angry. Name 3 things that happen to your body when you're feeling angry. Say 3 appropriate ways for expressing anger, and so on. Once you've created the questions, then it's time to play the game. You ask the child to roll the dice, and if the child rolls an even number, then they answer one of the questions from the worksheet that you've created. If they roll an odd number, then they get a small prize. Now, when the child is rolling the dice, one of my colleagues told me this, and I think it's a great tip. You can put the dice in a little small container, so that way when the child rolls the dice, it doesn't fly all over the place. So like this. When the child rolls an odd number and they get a small prize, you can be creative here with what you give the child as a small prize. It can be a small candy, or if the child is really into Lego, the child can earn 3 Lego pieces when they answer one of the questions from the worksheet. But when they roll an odd number and they get a prize, they can get 5 Lego pieces. Or if the child is really into crafts, then you can have beads, and I like to have an assortment of different colored and shapes of beads. And so when the child rolls an even number and they answer a question from the worksheet, then they get, let's say, 3 beads. But then when they roll an odd number, they can get 5 beads. And then at the end of the game, they can trade in the beads to create something, and if you're using the Lego, then at the end of the game, the child can create something out of the Lego that they've collected. Another option is to use bingo chips, and when the child answers a question, they get 2 bingo chips, and when the child rolls an odd number, they get 5 bingo chips. And then at the end of the game, they can trade in the bingo chips for a prize from your prize box. So let's say if they get between 1 and 10 bingo chips, they get 1 prize from your prize box, and if they get 11 or more bingo chips, then they get 2 prizes from your prize box. So there's lots of different ways that you can use little prizes or reinforcers to make the game even more engaging and appealing. At the end of the game, you can go back and process some of the child's responses on the worksheet. The therapeutic value in this activity is how you use the child's responses to the questions to open dialogue and to further process the child's thoughts and feelings. The DICE game is a way to engage children and help them to openly express themselves. It can be adapted for a wide range of client populations, as well as different age groups. I welcome your feedback on this activity, and I'd love to hear your ideas for creative ways of helping children to openly express themselves. So please feel free to post your comments on this YouTube channel. Thank you.